Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shemel Shabbat Shemakakwadash, giving all praises to Yahweh Shemel Shabbat Shemakakwadash. Shalom to the hopeful elect out there. And I'm going to entitle this video, The Original Russians Were Israelites, or I should say black. The original Russians were black Israelites. In parentheses, Israelites. And I'm going to prove that. And that the original Russians are open to salvation because they are Israelites. So let me show you this in the scriptures. This is Colossians 3, verse 11, where there is neither Greek nor Jew. Now we know that the Greeks are referring to Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites coming back into the fold, as opposed to Grecians. When you go to Acts chapter 6, it speaks about the Grecian, the widows. Those Grecians were Israelites that knew that they were Israelites, but that were born outside of the land of our forefathers. Like, for example, you had a large community of Israelites living in Alexandria, Egypt. And when I say large, we can say millions of them. That every year, actually 3 times in a year, they would come to Jerusalem, pursuant to Deuteronomy 16, verse 16. These were Israelites, and they would go back to their lands. Alexandria was one of them, and they went to other lands. All you got to do is read Acts 2nd chapter. So we were always a large group of people, and we mixed our seed, so we looked like everybody. As a matter of fact, now you got Israelites that look like just like Edomites. You got Israelites with blonde hair and blue eyes and pale skin. You got Israelites that look like Moabites. You got Israelites all throughout Africa, mainly the west coast of Africa, from the northwest all the way down to the South Africa. I believe Shaka Zulu was an Israelite. He had the spirit of an Israelite, and he did not trust Esau. Anyway, let me read the scripture. Colossians 3, verse 11, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision or uncircumcision. What does that mean? What Israelites were uncircumcised? The ones that were raised up as being Gentiles, going back to the time of the Maccabees. Barbarian, we're going to go into that word too. Barbarian and Scythian. You're going to find out that a Scythian is a certain kind of barbarian. He was worse than a barbarian. It says bound nor free, but Yahushai is all and in all, meaning all Israelites, whether you labeled as Greeks, Grecians, Jews, circumcised, uncircumcised, barbarians, Scythians. So now let's go into the word Scythian. So a lot of these Russians that you see, especially the athletic ones, a lot of those Russians are Jakes, even the ones that look like Edomites. Scythian. G 4658. Scythian is Greek for school face. Let me click on it. School face. Probably of foreign origin. Fifth Scythian. rude or rough. You know, you got a lot of these jakes, these hardcore jakes. You look at them the wrong way, they'll blow you away. There's some rough jakes, man, out there. There's some rough jakes out there. And that's part of the reason why these Edomite cops do what they do. A lot of times they just want to kill Jake, but a lot of times Jake do shit to provoke the cops to kill him. There's this one video where this one Jake was walking and the cops told him to stop. He wouldn't stop, and they kept tasering him, and them tasers were bouncing off of him like he was a superhero. They could. I think eventually they got him, but they hit him with about 20, 30 damn tasers, and that motherfucker, he would just knock it off. You know, like he had spiritual power. If somebody knows of that video, please send it to me. It says Scythian, rude or rough. A Scythian, an inhabitant of Scythia or modern day Russia. Now, what does the word Russia mean? It's two Hebrew words, Ra'ash Shah, which means chief prince or head prince. When you go to Ezekiel 38, it says chief prince. Chief, the word there is Ra'ash, which means head. By the more civilized nations of antiquity, by the more civilized nations of antiquity, what's the opposite of a civilized person, an uncivilized person? Like these Jakes out here in the street, these crazy Jakes. You heard the movie The Crazy Eights or The Hateful Eights, where you got the crazy Jakes out there, the hateful Jakes. It says, by the more civilized nations of antiquity, the Scythians were regarded as the wildest of barbarians. So Scythia is known as modern day Russia. Let me see if there's any more. Okay, I read this. By the more civilized nations of antiquities, the Scythians were regarded as the wildest of all barbarians, because barbarians are wild. Cicero, and Pison, Josephus. Okay, this is Second Maccabees 4. Okay, we're gonna pick some script. This class is gonna be a little long, so it's gonna be short. I try to make it short. So let's go to Second Maccabees 4, verse 47, excuse me, and then we're gonna go to Third Maccabees 7, verse 5. See Lightfoot on Colossians, the passage cited. I don't want all that. This is Edomite's opinion. But anyway, I want to go to these precepts. First precept is Second Maccabee 4, verse 47. Let's see what that says. Okay. And so much that he discharged Menelaus from the accusation, who, notwithstanding, was cause of all the mischief, and those poor men who, if they had told their cause, yea, before the Scythians, should have been judged innocent, them he condemned to death. So let me read this again. It said, those poor men who, if they had told their cause, yea, before the Scythians, should have been judged innocent, them them he condemned to death. So then you know what I got to do? I got to read this in context. Now, when the king, I'm not going to read the whole chapter. Now, when the king came to Tyrus, three men that were sent from the Senate pleaded the cause before him. But Menelaus, being now, I think I already read this. Okay, convicted, promised Ptolemy, the son of uh, Dorymenus, to give him much money if he would pacify the king toward him. Whereupon Ptolemy, taking the king aside into a certain gallery, as it were to take the air, brought him to be another mind, in so much, this is the actual verse, in so much that he discharged Menelaus from the accusation, who notwithstanding was cause of all the mischief. So this guy was acquitted, but he was a demon. He was a nigger. And those poor men who, if they had been their cause, if they had told their cause, the matter, yea, before the Scythians, should have been judged innocent, them he condemned to death. So if they went to the Scythians, here goes Scythians again. And the word Scythians, or the name Scythian, is only found one time in the regular Bible. I don't know how many times it's found in the Apocrypha. Thus, they that followed the matter for the city and for the people and for the holy vessels did soon suffer unjust punishment. They were punished unjustifiably. Wherefore, even they of Tyrus, moved with hatred of that wicked deed, caused them to be honorably buried, because they were put to death. And so, through the covetousness of them that were of power, Menelaus remained still in authority, increasing in malice, wickedness, and being a great traitor to the citizens. Like I said, I'm not going to read this whole this whole chapter. I want to try something. Okay, so Scythians is only written one time in the Apocrypha, as you can see. So it says, had they gone before the Scythians, should have been judged innocent, but they were judged uh, wrongly and they were put to death. And then after the matter, they buried them with honor. Give me a second. Let me pull this name up if I can get it. We got a vast history, man. Go to the Apocrypha. Okay, um, Menelaus is mentioned actually 16 times. And get back into the book of Maccabees, first and second Maccabees again. Get into that history. We were doing it at one time, myself and the apostles and the bishop, when we drive down to the camp. This is a while back, maybe a year or two ago. We went through listened to the whole book of Maccabees. So it's good to do that. If you don't read it, listen to it. So let me come back over here. So now I went to okay, these are images. I put in Scythian Empire, right? Look at this guy. Look at the helmet. That's the helmet of a Spartan, a Lacedaemonian, the Black Greeks, King Leonidas, so you can understand. Now it says here from Scythia to Camelot. Now, what was Camelot all about? It was about King Arthur, which King Arthur, now they say he was a legend. Some say he actually existed and they made this whole magical story around him, but he was a Jake. That's when Jake was in power. That was during the time period before when Esau was bound, pursuant to Revelation chapter 20. So Esau knows all this history. That's why they don't want us to come back up into power. So they were born and bred to be fighters since children, since childhood. Hey, Jake does that in boxing. Boxing for Jake is a religion, man. When you watch certain gyms like Floyd Mayweather, right? His grandson is the son of this guy. What's his name? NBA young boy, whatever the hell, young blood, young boy, whatever these silly ass names. Well, he got with Floyd Mayweather's oldest daughter, and she was just out there doing her thing. She almost got locked up for a lot of years. But anyway, when Floyd goes to the gym, he'll bring his grandson, which is NBA young boy's son, which is his grandson, and he'll have him watch him box, and he gets all excited about it. And that's what Jake does. That's a whole boxing is a culture for Jake. And these Jakes that you see that are world champions, these new group of champions, all them guys started when they was 8 years old, 5 years old, 12 years old. That's considered late. And then they fight throughout. They fight in tournaments. They fight in amateur tournaments. Because I used to box, and they used to have national tournaments. They had the golden gloves. They had the national gloves. They had the silver gloves. They had the PAL nationals. They had different nationals. And so when these Jakes turn pro, they already got 100, 150, 200 amateur fights on their belt with some national titles on them. So they already know how to box. They come in there as a young man, turn pro when they first fight. They beating up guys that are world champions. So that's a whole culture, man. That gladiator culture. So now let me go over here. I'm not going to get into the Lacedaemonians because I don't want to make this long, but it's a little long. Let me see. Okay, it says the Scythians or Scyths, and sometimes also referred to as the classic Scythians, and the Pontiac Scythians were an ancient, skilled in mounted warfare. What does that mean? They fought on a horse. Now, Gad, Reuben, Manasseh, mainly Gad, you see them Gadite movies, they're skilled on the horse. You know, Jake be beating the shit out of Esau in America, but when they have to deal with them Russians, that's an even fight, man. That's an even fight. Mike Tyson should be happy that them Russians didn't come over here to America. Them Russians they opened up they broke that wall, so to speak. So you had all these Russians come to America that was on a boxing team in Russia, in the what do you call it, Eastern Europe. Because if they see them guys, them motherfuckers ain't scared. They ain't scared of nothing. They ain't scared of Jake. Not like the regular average Edomite. So you can knock an American Edomite out. They weak. But them Russian them Russian Edomites, yo, Mike Tyson would have had a hard time, man. Because they hit hard, they fast, they strong, they're super athletic, and they don't have no fear. So a lot of them, don't be surprised if a lot of them are actually Jakes. There was one picture I had a while back. I did a video. I don't even remember the video that I did. And there was a picture of a comb of a Scythian. It was an Afro pick. And here's a famous picture, sculpture, whatever you want to call it. And they're known for fighting on horse. They're experts on fighting on horseback. They say as such, most scholars use the term Scythian to describe the nomadic Iranian people, which a lot of those are Jake, a lot of them are Jakes, who dominated the Pontiac steppe around the Black Sea from the 7th to 3rd centuries BC. What is Scythia called today? Today, part of Ukraine, Russia, Moldova, Romania, and Belarus. Now you got top boxers and fighters that come out of Ukraine, Russia, Romania, and Belarus. Belarus means beautiful Russia. They say it means white Russia. It doesn't mean white Russia, it means beautiful Russia. So when you see them Russians, man, especially them athletic ones, a lot of them are Jake. Are Russians descendant of Scythians. Now the Apostle Paul said a Scythian is open to salvation. So who is he talking about? What did he mean by the Scythians receiving salvation, a door of salvation? He was talking about Israelites, and it said that the Scythians were like the wildest of the barbarians. It says, yet it is true that the people of the Kievian state, which is Kiev or Kiev, who came to be known as Russians, were not Scythians. These were Edomites, Greeks, or Cossacks, but East slaves. So a lot of them was Jake. Remember, Jake did a lot of mixing. You know how Jake do. They see any woman, they want to pop the woman. They don't care what the woman look like. They want to pop her. I'm not gonna read no more. I'm gonna do this. Let me do this here. Let me backtrack. Okay, I want the word barbarian because they said the Scythians are the worst, wildest of the barbarians. So they're like a class of barbarians. Let's look up the word barbarians. Barbarian, barbarian, us. There's no root to the word. One whose speech is rude, rough, and harsh. You always got a nigga in the hood. You always got these, laid back jakes, and you got these rough niggas. They always in prison, and they love going to prison too. They look. That's a lot. That's like a vacation for most niggas, man. You know them niggas. Every hood that you lived in, that you grew up in, there was always a rough nigga. You know, the police, they hem you up, put you on a wall. You're gonna comply, because you get out, you make bail or whatever the case may be. You get what is it, ROR? What is that? Released on your own recognizance. If you do the right thing, okay, we're gonna let you go. Make sure you come back. So you got one nigga, he gets on the wall and he want to fight the cops. Then he gets his ass beat, and he might knock a cop out. Then he going up for a while, and then he got a whole new family in the prison system. There's certain niggas that love prison. that's a that's that's a that's a topic right there in itself. There's certain niggas that certain niggas that look forward to going to prison. Even Richard Pryor said that, you know. But he's talking to one of them. He did the comedy act or whatever, and he said, "Why did you kill everybody in the house?" And he said, "They were all home. You got these wild, crazy jakes that belong in the zoo. They should be chained up some goddamn where. You know them. You got cousins. You might be one. If you don't, well, I don't know nobody like that. Well, guess what? That's you. You the rough nigga. Anyway, it said one whose speech is rude, rough, and harsh. Or a perfect example is Whack 100. Going back and forth with Captain Tazariak, you know. It says one who speaks a foreign or strange language which is not understood by another. And this is why this is why Paul was chosen to speak to the Gentiles, because he was able to speak Greek. So you had Israelites that only spoke Greek. You had some Israelites that only spoke Latin. It says used by the Greeks of any foreigner ignorant of the Greek language, whether mental or moral, with the added notion after the Persian War of rudeness and brutality. The word is used in the NT New Testament without the idea of reproachfulness. Like IUIC, a lot of those guys are barbarians and Scythians. One whose speech is rude, rough, and harsh. One who speaks a foreign or strange language which is not understood by another. So anyway, with that, I only touched the surface of this subject. I mean, I could have went into the Lacedaemonians, that they were Israelites as well. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next one. Shalom.